My First Flight. This is a Level 3 graded reader from Learn English Through Story. The story is called My First Flight. Before you read the story, let's talk about the title. What do you think this story will be about? What does the word flight mean? It can mean the act of flying or a trip on an airplane. So this story will probably be about someone's first time riding in an airplane. Let's check. When I was 10 years old, my family and I decided to spend our summer holiday in California. My dad would drive us from New York to Los Angeles. The journey took 2 days, and we had to stop halfway to rest and sleep. But when we were driving through Arizona, we saw a small plane. It was so low that we could see the pilot. He was waving at us. We all waved back, and my dad said, "Would you like to go up there?" I had never flown in a plane before, but I wanted to try it. I'd love to. Dad drove us to a small airport nearby, and we went to look for the pilot. There weren't many planes at the airport, but we found a man with a small plane. He was sitting next to his aircraft and reading a newspaper. "Excuse me," I said to him, "but are you the pilot of that plane?" "Yes, I am," he answered. "Would you take us for a ride?" "Of course," he replied. "How long would the ride be?" I asked. "About 15 minutes," he answered. "That sounds great." Then we paid him and got into his small plane. As we climbed higher and higher, I could see the houses getting smaller and smaller. Soon, all I could see was desert. It was amazing. The pilot turned on the radio, and soon some music was playing. I sat next to the pilot and asked him many questions about the plane. "How fast can it go?" I asked. "Well, about 180 miles per hour," he replied. "That's very fast." I thought for a moment. "Can I try to fly the plane myself?" I asked. "Of course you can," said the pilot. "I'll show you how." Then he showed me how to control the plane and how to use the radio. "Now try it," he said. "It's easy." I felt a little bit scared, but I knew that the pilot was sitting right next to me. So I tried to control the plane. It was really fun. I was flying a plane for the first time, and it was going well. Suddenly, I heard a noise and turned to the pilot. "What was that?" I asked. "That was the engine," he said. "It stopped working. I'm sorry, but we have to land now." I wasn't scared. I knew that even if we crashed, the pilot would protect me. But I didn't want to crash. I wanted to land the plane. "Don't worry," I said to myself. "You can do it." Then I looked for the airport we had left from. Soon, I saw it. "I see the airport," I shouted. The pilot said, "Okay, turn to the right and start to go down." I did what he told me to do. I turned the wheel to the right and pushed down on the control stick. We started to lose altitude. The desert below us was moving faster and faster. Soon we were almost over the airport. "We're going too fast," I said. "Don't worry," the pilot answered. "You're doing great." Then we landed. As soon as we stopped, I got out of the plane and walked to my dad. I was so happy that I had flown a plane for the first time, and I had landed it too. Dad was proud of me. "You did great, son," he said. "Thank you." Then I went back to say goodbye to the pilot. He smiled. "You're a natural," he said. "Maybe you can come work for me one day." "Really?" I asked. "Of course," he said. "If you want to, you can come back anytime and fly one of my planes." "That would be great," I said. Then we said goodbye and went back on the road. We continued our journey to California. As we drove, I told my parents everything about the plane and about the pilot. They listened patiently and sometimes asked me questions. When we finally arrived in California, I still couldn't believe that I had flown a plane. I was so happy. It had been an amazing experience. Now let's talk about the story. Who is the main character? What is the story about? How does the story make you feel? Would you like to learn to fly a plane? Why or why not? You can write your answer in the comments. Now let's check your vocabulary. Choose the correct meaning for each underlined word. 1. The story is set in the United States. True or false? 2. The main character is 10 years old. True or false? 3. The main character travels with his mother. True or false? 4. The pilot is an old man. True or false? 5. The main character is afraid when the engine stops working. True or false? 6. The main character lands the plane. True or false? 7. The main character wants to become a pilot. True or false? Let's check the answers. Number 1. True. The story is set in the United States. The first sentence says that the main character and his family are spending their holiday in California. Number 2. True. The main character is 10 years old. The first sentence says that when he was 10 years old. Number 3. False. The main character travels with his dad. The first sentence says that he and his family and dad go on a road trip. Number 4. False. The pilot is not an old man. We don't know how old he is, but the story says that he was sitting next to his aircraft and reading a newspaper. Reading a newspaper doesn't have to be an old person. Number 5. False. The main character is not afraid when the engine stops working. He is calm. He knows that the pilot will protect him. Number 6. True. The main character lands the plane. The text says that he did it. Number 7. True. The main character wants to become a pilot. At the end of the story, the pilot asks him if he wants to come and work for him one day. And the main character says, "That would be great." Now let's talk about grammar. Let's look at these sentences from the story. When I was 10 years old, my family and I decided to spend our summer holiday in California. As we climbed higher and higher, I could see the houses getting smaller and smaller. When we arrived in California, I still couldn't believe that I had flown a plane. Can you find the past simple forms in these sentences? When I was 10 years old, my family and I decided to spend our summer holiday in California. When we arrived in California, I still couldn't believe that I had flown a plane. What about the present continuous tense? Can you find examples of that tense? As we climbed higher and higher, I could see the houses getting smaller and smaller. I was flying a plane for the first time and it was going well. Now let's practice using the past simple and the present continuous tense. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the verb. 1. When I be 10 years old, I receive a bike from my grandparents. 2. My friends and I often go to the cinema on Saturdays. 3. Last week I watch a great film. 4. I usually take the bus to school, but today I walk. 5. How often you visit your grandparents? Let's check the answers. 1. When I was 10 years old, I received a bike from my grandparents. 2. My friends and I often go to the cinema on Saturdays. 3. Last week I watched a great film. 4. I usually take the bus to school, but today I'm walking. 5. How often do you visit your grandparents? Let's move on to listening. Listen to the story again and answer these questions. 1. Where does the story take place? 2. How old is the main character? 3. What problem does the pilot have? 4. Does the main character land the plane? 5. What does the pilot say to the main character at the end of the story? Now let's check the answers. 1. The story takes place in the United States. 2. The main character is 10 years old. 3. The engine stops working. 4. Yes, the main character lands the plane. 5. The pilot says that the main character is a natural and that he can come and work for him one day. And finally, let's talk about pronunciation. Listen to these words and repeat them. Notice the pronunciation of the underlined letters. Pilot, plane, get, desert, engine, altitude, pilot, plane, get, desert, engine, altitude. That's the end of the lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos.